Welcome back to Scoundrels, Inc., another Star Wars podcast, one of the many you probably already listened to. So what's one more? I'm Frank Janish. We're here today to talk some Visions, Volume 2. I got Kevin, I got Brandon. Look, we're StreamYarding. We're StreamYarding, boys. How we feeling?
Feels like 2020 all over again, bro. 2020, dude.
Can we say that? Can we say StreamYarding legally? Should we say stream?
We're streaming.
Make sure you send in
we're going through the quad stream.
Send in your super chats. If you donate $20 or more, the robot comes and will interrupt our show and ask us random questions. So go ahead and do that.
Otherwise, one of us will interrupt our own show, just like right now.
Links below.
But it's
links
like
below.
It's C-3PO actually, the robot.
What?
Can anybody do a C-3PO
impression?
Brandon, come on.
You can't do one.
I'd never tried.
Yeah, I never tried bullshit.
C-3PO. What does he say?
A lot.
How rude.
How do you mean what did he say?
That's DJ Tanner, bro. Or Michelle
No,
Tanner.
that's Jar Jar Binks, bro.
Oh, how
good.
I don't know why.
Full House reference there.
Yeah, that's wild. Anyway,
5%
so
off.
let's get into Visions Volume 2. Came out on May the 4th, so it's been out for a couple weeks now. And I've only watched the episodes once, but they had they impacted me tremendously. I don't know, just on one viewing. So let's just go over some general thoughts over the series. And Kevin, let's
General.
Let's start with General Smets over there.
Yeah, I like Visions. I had never seen season 1, so I only had seen one of them. So going into it, like, it's like one of those things where it's like you just kind of sit down and like power. At first, you think you're going to power through it, and then like within like the first two, like you're kind of all in. So, admittedly, because I have a child and that takes up a lot of my time, I have not seen all of them, but I did see the first half of them. And was blown away. I thought that I Am Your Mother would be my favorite one with the Ardman one, but my favorite was definitely, the anime one. The name's escaping me. I have the notes here.
Journey to the Dark.
Journey to the Dark.
We'll get to We'll get to our favorite episodes. We'll get to those.
So overall, yeah, it's fun. Like, I mean, if I'm not allowed to mention any of the specifics, I will say overall they were great, and I love that a variety of the Star Wars filmmakers out there can have their hand on it. And actually, I'm looking forward to seeing the second half of season 1, and then rewatching a lot of second half of season 2, and then rewatching the full of basically season 1. But I love when different filmmakers get their voice out there. And who would have thought something like the Screecher one like could be something that was so powerful to people. So yeah.
Definitely. I thought, coming into this volume, I wasn't sure what to expect, but I felt like after watching all 9 episodes, they really had a theme throughout, which I don't feel like, I could be mistaken, because it's been a while since I've seen Volume 1, but it feels like Volume 2 had much more of a theme that was connected to each of these shorts, dealing with light side and the dark side, and the struggle and the balance between both of those forces. And that one, or at least that aspect, really felt like a continuation. While they were all different stories and told in different styles of animation, I felt like all of the stories had that kind of that central core theme throughout, I think, a overwhelming majority of the shorts. And to me, while they're all separate in nature, that actually tied them all together pretty nicely for me in a way that I don't remember feeling that way about Volume 1. So I think that's what I liked about this volume specifically. And then we'll get into some of the episodes that were just absolutely blew me away, some of them. But Brandon, any general overview thoughts on Volume 2?
No.
Okay, so
I know. So yeah, I have not gotten around to watching it yet, unfortunately.
Wait, so let the record state, Brandon is on the Visions episode and he hasn't watched any of them yet. This is what.
Listen,
You didn't
I
do your
just showed
homework,
up.
pal.
I didn't
You're
really
here
know.
for the voices.
I didn't know what you were doing today,
So what did you
man.
think of season?
No, I've been too wrapped up in my new job and my new cat.
No big deal, but this new job, this new guy here, I don't know how much I can say without being shot, but he is responsible. He worked in space. In space, dude.
in
He's the
space.
forefront
Yes, I
expert
got
on
a new
space.
job in
You know what's also in
the space
space?
industry.
Star
Very
Wars.
excited.
You know, Star Wars is also in
Imagine it was
space,
called Space Wars.
and
But I do have a thought. I saw there was that clip going around of that one shot of like that woman like pulling like a lightsaber like out of her cane or something, and the
yeah,
cane like
yeah,
disappears.
yeah,
And there was like people arguing about that, and I just thought that was silly because that
yeah,
was
yeah.
just cool.
It's
That was
very cool
cool.
and very silly to argue about. I'm not even. I didn't see that, and I'm glad I didn't. And I don't need to know really
Mhm.
any more about that actually, because there's no point. But I will say
The
so.
one talking point I have.
The one,
You spent it
Gone.
all now. So what are you going to talk about the rest of it? You should have said the first half of it and then been like, and stay tuned for the end of the episode to hear the second half of my thought.
right. All right. Well, getting into some of our favorite episodes here. One for me that stood out. I mean, it was the first episode, Sith. Just the stylistic approach and the story to that short was really, I think, kicked off the whole volume in a great way of kind of setting the tone, really, and about this struggle between light and dark and leaving your dark past behind and embracing a brighter future, even though in that story, the dark past, still comes back to haunt her. And I thought it was such a really well made short. I mean, all of them were really made exquisitely, but the themes of, again, light and dark, so in your face about it, really made for an interesting story and character. And the little droid was really cute. Another one of my favorite episodes, which I think we'll share with you, Kevin, is Journey to the Darkhead. That one to me had such a dramatic feel to it. A lot of these shorts did, but this to me just had a lot of. It also felt longer than 20 minutes, but like in a good
Yeah.
way. They pack so much in here and they flesh out so much in a short amount of time. I was convinced that this was like 35 minutes. I was like, I can't believe we're still going, and I was wanting more and more from this episode. How did you feel about this episode?
Yeah, that was one where I'm like, I mean, Brandon, if you watch one, you should throw that on tonight after you watch Ted Lasso. But it just you leave wanting more, and it makes me. I'm like curious, like when did it take place? It has everything you want in Star Wars, epic Star Wars battle. It has a council scene with someone angry, and it's just like it checks all the boxes. But like, it just made me think, like, dude, 90 minutes at a theater for a movie like this, I would be all in. And it also makes me think, man, I am really not well adversed with anime, and in the anime, like I've really gravitated towards it, and so I don't know even where I would begin, but I'll figure it out at some point. I'd like to see probably more from this filmmaker. That may be a good start, but I was going to mention
in terms of watching more anime.
Yeah, I don't.
Oh,
yeah,
sure.
I mean, outside, I don't really know that much about anime. I do say that the lightsabers, man, and you never think that they can get it. Look at like in these 2D ones, both in Journey to Darkhead and Sith, they make the lightsabers look so freaking like dangerous. Like, and you wouldn't think that. Like, they really do. Like Sith, especially, like with this, you see the energy through like animation, the 2D animation, and it really gives it that powerful feel. And the same with the fight scenes, obviously, with that anime style with Journey to Darkhead. Like, I got to give it up to these lightsaber artists. Like, and I don't know the second half, so I wouldn't be able to speak on that. But Journey to Darkhead just it makes me want to know when it takes place. I want to know more about and even like the bad guy. Like, I like when bad guys don't sound overly like, I'm gonna twirl my mustache and sound evil. Like, he sounded like just a very reasonable guy that just was on the opposite ends of the force at that point. So, man, I can't say enough good things about these animations. Like, and it's funny because like I think people want to invest their time into something and nowadays we're just so ruined with like the MCU and cinematic universe. Oh, this doesn't tie into a cinematic universe, then I'm not interested. And some people might feel that way about these Star Wars stories. Like, oh, well, if we're never going to get one. I do wonder if they would ever translate any of these. Like with Captain Carter, they did that with What If. They ended up, Captain Carter made it to live action. So I wonder if any of these people, if we would ever get a continuation in a later series or Vision Season 3 with animation. But I'm just saying if we ever brought any of these things to live action, it would be pretty cool. Or at least reference to it.
Maybe we'll see him. Maybe we'll see him in the
The
Logan
Logan
verse, gang.
the Logan verse guy. You never know who's gonna pop up with the multiverse convergence guy.
You should be pitching your episode of Star Wars Visions for Volume 3.
my Star Wars vision.
and just shows up in the old KOTOR machinima style, and you're like, wait a minute,
Dude.
did we do this?
Oh man, like that would be. It's retro. Look, they have freaking claymation.
be
You
really
can
fun.
do, and do
Yeah.
claymation too. I gotta say, with In the Stars, that was another good one. In the Stars.
I'm Your Mother too was another one.
Why
yeah,
are you
but
talking
In the
about my
Stars is a
mother,
great
man? What's the
story.
matter with you? This is like a PG show. Come on, Frank.
Kevin.
In the Stars, and I don't know if it's CGI that looks like claymation or if it's claymation, but
No, this is all.
that was
claymation,
because
yeah.
I know for sure the art and stuff was,
Yeah.
but I wasn't sure if In the Stars if they're like, because some of it just looks so crisp and clear, like, oh, that's an interesting.
There's some stuff they had to do CGI, I think, but like most of it.
Yeah.
Or I could be talking about something else.
In the Stars is like with the two sisters, and then they're fighting the Imperial
Yes.
forces. But what a great story about just the like colonization and how evil the Empire is, and these two people that have been so afraid to use the Force, and such great displays of it. And like just the one sister catches the other one, and like I think they did the catching of someone better than even the Obi-Wan show did when Obi-Wan catches little Leia. Like I just thought that was just really powerful stuff. And yeah.
Well, there are stuff you can do stylistically with animation that you just can't pull off in live action. So I think that plays into your how you like Journey to the Dark Hat, because stylistically there's so many interesting things you can do and draw out and make a little bit more dramatic that you just really can't do in live action. So it's great that I mean, Star Wars has been doing this for a while with animation, Clone Wars, Rebels, what have you, but also to then venture out into these other types of animation that Star Wars isn't necessarily known for, but other studios around the world that are highly acclaimed and revered, that they're getting involved in Star Wars, I think has been a brilliant move on part of Lucasfilm to do these types of shorts and this series as a whole.
Dare I say it? I've never, like, the lightsaber battle in Journey to the Dark Hat was really good and fluid. I, from the beginning, always thought that, like, in Clone Wars, there's that certain style of, like the sabers, because it's animation, right? And so it's not quite, like, that's why the ones in the final where you could tell that it was actually Ray Park doing the mocap for Maul. I liked that fight with Ahsoka better. But most of the Clone Wars and even Rebels, like, it's that like very, not like a Lego movie perhaps, where that's a little more jerky, but it's those quick, precise, jerky things that animation has to do because it's not two humans twirling around a lightsaber. So like always throughout the Clone Wars, I was like, nothing ever really blew me away with like the lightsaber choreography, because it's like it was always about the movements and things they would do with the Force that was more powerful.
Yeah.
But these shorts, for some reason, it wasn't like that. Like it just must be a credit to the animators, so they just figured out a way to make it feel a little unique and fresh with the animation.
Definitely. Another episode that I really enjoyed that also I have at a bullet point here is an episode that most affected you. Another favorite and most affected me was Spy Dancer. I don't know if you saw that one, Kevin. This is a story about what ends up being, spoiler alert, ends up being a mother being tracked down by her son, who is now part of the Empire. However, her son was taken away from her at an early age. So her son doesn't even know that he's in fact hunting down her own mother, his own mother. It's a really, really great and beautifully told story. It's one of my favorites, and it did affect me a lot. But the one that affected me the most, and then I'm assuming you've seen this one, Kevin, because this is the second episode, Screecher's Reach. This one hit me tremendously hard. I even tweeted out about it. The ending absolutely broke my heart. This little girl looking for a way out was looking for a way out of her situation, and ended up turning to her darkest self in a sense by destroying a Sith apprentice, which we didn't know at that time, although as Star Wars fans you could assume there was some dark side stuff going on there. But then at the end of this episode, she's taken away by a Sith master on a ship, and the tears in these kids' eyes, and it just broke me instantly. And I couldn't believe, I'm like, this is the second episode of Vision. Like, Sith, start off with Sith, a great start. Then you follow it up with this one, Screecher's Reach, with Doll, the main character, and she's looking to get off this planet out of her situation, and ends up falling, I guess, tragically to the dark side, by some decisions she made, in a way a little bit like Anakin. Aside from the I want to save people, she was trying to find any way to rectify, to get out of her situation, and she ended up going with this Sith Master, and it was so heartbreaking for me. I don't know if you recollect watching that one.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes. It's the Sith way. It's Palpatine, making sure like really like setting his grips in Anakin, knowing that Anakin had his weakness for Padme, and that was orchestrating his plan perfectly. And with this one, like, it just sometimes, and it probably happens in the real world too. Like, if someone is in a real bad situation, and then someone with nefarious means is like, well, come with me, I can take you from this place and give you a better life. Like, even in a smaller sense with Solo, like Solo was doing, smuggling runs and stuff like that, for Lady Proxima, like, who was taking advantage of all those rats, right, or sewer rats, or whatever they're talking about. So, like, this is just no different with the Sith. Like, it breaks your heart, but like, she is doing it for like all the right reasons, all the right reasons, but the road, it's paved with this darkness, that's one that I hope they could revisit, like what's going to happen to her in 15 or 20 years. And like, that's how they do it. Like, they'll get their grips in them early, like, and it's just an interesting, another way. And then you could also look at it in the eyes of the Sith, like, she is being offered this salvation through this person. And she'll take it, and I think
that's the heartbreaking aspect of it. It was just like, you could go with this person and your life will not be what it once was. I'm not gonna say out here. I'm not gonna say it's immediately going to be better for her,
we don't know,
because she's going with the Sith man. Because she's going with the Sith
Lord. I saw this interview with someone in North Korea, and this mother smuggled her child out of North Korea to China, but to be in the sex trade of China. But she knew that her daughter, they were not eating and nothing in North Korea. And like, so this is the woman who was sent to the sex trade. She's like, my mom sent me to China because at least even though I was in the sex trade now, like, she had food and she wasn't going to die of starvation. And like, the mom was later murdered, and like, the whole family was starved and stuff like that. So like, sometimes, like, now it's not to get so dark here, but like, being sent into that horrible dark atmosphere and world in China, she ended up getting out of that and now lives in America. But like, it's an honest intention by the mother to get her out of there, right? And so you, like, again, you could always look at some certain angles of things and be like, okay, now, would I ever want to send my child into that? No, of course not. But for this mother, it was like, it's either that or she's gonna die, right? And so this kid's probably thinking, it's either I go off with this Sith Lord, or my friends and I are all gonna die of starvation anyway. So I'd like to think that this person is just doing it for her own means until she thinks she gets a handle on it, and then she can come back and save her friends. But maybe we'll find out in season 3.
Maybe. So one last thing I will say is, one of the episodes that I would like to see most expanded upon is definitely Journey to the Dark Side, like you, Kevin, but also Spy Dancer. Sorry that I ruined it for you,
okay.
But go watch it. It's really well told. And it's that one I'd be really, really interested to see where it could have went. I don't expect any of these stories to be followed up, and that's kind of the genius and the brilliance of these shorts, is that this is what it is, and then it's in your mind's eye of what happens next, which is always kind of a fun thing to do. To wrap up here, though, you're talking about Volume 3. It was reported by Jeff Snyder that Volume 3 is in the works, so I'm looking forward to what theme or studios are going to be involved in Volume 3. That should be really interesting, and I wonder how long it'll take to come out. Maybe next year or 2 years. I don't know. But
what's the untapped animation style going to be? So you did claymation. We haven't really talked about I Am Your Mother. That was funny too. Like, I gotta say, Chicken Run's one of my favorite all-time movies. If you've never seen Chicken Run, it's so good. It's from the same animator, and there's a couple funny moments that I'll say, but like the I Am Your Mother, that line is one of those things where the title of the show of the episode plays into the episode. It's really funny. So
Now, Brandon,
Yeah.
I know you have a lot to say about Visions, but
Well, I was
what else? I mean, in terms of Volume 2, from what we have said,
Mhm.
how does it pique your curiosity?
I mean, I'm definitely interested. You know, Volume 1 came out and I saw like the previews for it and I was like, this looks pretty cool, but maybe not my thing. Watching the previews and people discuss Volume 2, like the animation style and some of the storytelling looks a lot more compelling to me than it did for Volume 1. So I'm like definitely interested to like sit down and go through it. Because like yeah, people seem to be really excited about it. And also I like the aspect of like throwing in some stop motion animation. I thought was pretty cool. And what's interesting about like cranking out a volume 3, right, is like every episode's done by a different animation studio. So like in theory it could come out relatively quickly if they all work at the same
True.
time. It's like everyone just has to make one episode simultaneously, and depending on like, you know, like this is like, I don't know, I definitely like I 100% like support like the WGA and the
Right.
writer strike and everything, but you know a lot of these like animation studios that they're tapping into are like foreign and
Yeah.
like in different countries, where like maybe the writer strike doesn't apply necessarily.
yeah,
So
writers for
where we see
animation
like
aren't
delays.
actually unless they are already in the guild for other works, but like technically
Mhm.
like that wouldn't even slow down Bad Batch. But now it's on to the Bad Batch writers. If any of them are in a WGA, obviously they can't do it. But like the ones that aren't,
Yeah,
Yeah.
are they going to be, solidify and be
Right.
solidarity?
yeah,
That's
and
that's the
solidarity,
question.
you
Yeah.
know, that's definitely like a tough issue, right? Because it's like, damn, I want to get, you know, make some money, put some food on the table, but I also
Yeah.
want to support my
Yeah.
Right.
friends.
Right.
But that's like a whole nother topic for another day. But I just thought that was like an interesting element to that, you know, because we're obviously like seeing delays with the Mandalorian. So
Absolutely. But I'm looking forward to Volume 3. I've loved Volume 2 probably a little bit more than Volume 1, even though Volume 1 has some great stories as well. But Volume 2 really hit me. I will say there are a few articles on StarWars.com that you can go and read up right now about Sith and about Screecher's Reach. There's also another featurette video on Star Wars YouTube channel that delves into, or I think it was on the This Week in Star Wars. I forget, that May 4th, that week of, or was it the week after rather. They did a little featurette on I Am Your Mother, and they talk about some cool Easter eggs that they threw in there. There's a scene where I think the little girl's walking through like a market, or the mother is, and you can see in the background Luke Skywalker's lightsaber on display and like on a shop, and then you see the hand of Maz Kanata come out from behind and just grab it and go back into the background. There's
Which
really
short
cool
is that on?
stuff like that. I Am Your Mother.
Great, that's funny.
that's funny.
Yeah, there's a lot of
A lot of
that one
gags.
is again one of my other favorite ones because there's a lot of cool nods and Easter eggs to the overall franchise. And so if you
Until they
haven't,
explain it, that's canon.
yeah, exactly. That's exactly. If you go back and watch the featurette, they talk about all that stuff, that kind of thing. It's
Yeah.
it's really really cool, and it just shows you how far and wide the reach of Star Wars is for creators, not just within the U.S. but around the world, and all these other creators from Denmark or Sweden, the U.K. obviously, or Japan, right? So. I think it's, or India, I think the Bandits of Golak was another great short, just another great harrowing tale of finding a way out, but and also kind of like hiding who you are, but also being unafraid to show who you are. It's a really just a lot of great episodes of Volume 2 that really just blew me away. But that's going to do it for this little discussion on Visions 2. Perhaps we'll talk about it somewhere else down the line. But until then, if you could hit like on the video, leave a comment about what your favorite Volume 2 Visions episode was. I'd love to see it, love to read it. And hit subscribe if you're not already to the channel. And with all that said, we will see you in the next one.
Scoundrel. Scoundrel. I like the sound of that.